So basically, I was raped when I was 22 years old, and I was living 3,000 plus miles away from home. And my co-workers wanted me to go to the police and go to the hospital and get an examination and press charges. And I knew how victims of rape were treated. I knew about victim blaming, and I did not want to go there. I was terrified. So I ignored it. I stayed silent. I didn't say anything. I hid that inside me for 20 odd years. I didn't think about it. I forgot it even happened. They call it repressed memories, and I repressed it for 24 years. And when I was in graduate school a few years ago, something somebody said in a class triggered me, and I just remembered everything. And then it just started haunting me. I had nightmares and cold sweats, and I was reliving the whole thing over and over again in my mind every day, and it was just horrible. It was just absolutely ugly and hideous. And I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to get help. So I tried to get help from some other counselors in the community, but they weren't trained in trauma. They weren't trained in helping people with sexual abuse. And I didn't get the help I needed. So then I asked some people I knew who had some experience with helping people with sexual abuse, and they suggested I call Sava.
Hi, my name is Audrey Swenson, and I am coordinator of the SART Peers program with the Sexual Assault Victim Advocate Center, or better known to the Fort Collins community, the Sava Center. Sava offers a wealth of resources to the Fort Collins community, including a 24-hour, confidential, bilingual rape crisis hotline, individual and group therapy sessions, individual advocacy, and prevention education for youth ranging in ages from 6 to 18 years old.
About 6 or 7 years ago, I started dealing with sexual violation that I had experienced, and actually heard about Sava through my psychiatrist. He referred me to Sava in the hopes that I would seek therapy. Was really resistant to therapy for a long time, didn't want to talk about what had happened. I was just afraid of what that would mean to my life if I started talking about it. But as a part of my treatment plan, he thought it was really important that I did therapy. And so I actually just looked Sava up online and called the main number, and Chelsea, the director of, I'm not sure, but Chelsea called me back, and we spoke for probably about 20 or 30 minutes about my story, and she invited me to come in and do an evaluation, and that was how I heard about Sava.
When a survivor comes into Sava, it's often a very challenging experience to go into an organization and disclose something that is a very personal, very intimate, and often can be a traumatizing experience. It takes a lot of courage, but when survivors come in the front door at Sava, they're met immediately by a warm face and someone who believes them and supports them and is willing to do just about anything to get them the help that they need so that they can start to rebuild their life and continue to have a happy, successful future.
My first contact was a phone call to see if they could help me. They were amazing. I mean, they said, absolutely. Doesn't matter when it happened. It could be 50 years ago. We can totally help you and you're welcome here. So that was my first experience talking to them at Sava, and it was really reassuring to find out that there was a place that could help.
I'm Jennifer Jones. I'm the Executive Director of the Sexual Assault Victim Advocate Center. All of Sava's services are confidential, so anybody can access the services that we offer without worrying that that information is going to be reported to law enforcement or any other agency. And that's specifically important when we are working with folks who may be here without proper documentation. So we can provide we can provide all of our services to people regardless of their immigration status and regardless of their socioeconomic status, gender identity, or any other characteristic. And in fact, we have 3 staff members out of a team of 13 that are here specifically to be able to provide service to Spanish-speaking victims of sexual assault. So we have therapists that are on staff to be able to provide long-term care. We have bilingual victim advocates as well that can provide that initial crisis intervention and help somebody walk through the criminal justice system if that's something that they decide to do, and to get medical help after a sexual assault. We can also help provide information on obtaining proper documentation status as well, with special rights that are provided to sexual assault victims. So we definitely want to make sure that anybody who needs us, regardless of what other circumstances may be going on, they can access our services.
You know, I was scared. I was scared to come in and face what had happened to me and work through it, because it is scary. And I felt incredibly cared for and understood, and I felt like my therapist was brave enough and strong enough and had the skills to help me. And that was just so reassuring. I just really felt confident and comfortable that I was going to be able to work through this with her.
Before I came to Sava, I had a lot of really self-destructive habits. I was having a lot of flashbacks. I was very, very depressed. I was suicidal at times. Didn't know what to do with the experience that I had had and the impact that it was having on my life in terms of flashbacks and impact on my sexuality, my relationships. I was a mess. Felt like I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to talk about it. I was very shut down. And as a part of the process of healing, I think what happens is just verbalizing your feelings, talking about the experience, makes it more manageable. I feel like I was in a place where I thought I will never heal from this. This is the burden that I will carry the rest of my life, and there is no way that I can ever move on. And what I started to experience was that the impact was that I had more openness with my relationships. I was able to talk openly about what had happened. If someone would have asked me to describe the experience that I had before I came to Sava, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And just the experience of talking about it and just made it feel more manageable. I feel like it's had a huge impact on my relationships, especially with my husband, and just my ability to bond with my children, feel like a good mom again. And so I'd say overall it was going from a really destructive pattern to more of a healthy lifestyle. Even just basic things we worked on, you know, just eating well and drinking water and starting to really take care of myself in a way that I had never been able to do, because I was punishing myself all the time for what had happened and didn't feel like I had a right to heal.
Therapy is not easy. It is very difficult to face your past and things that have happened to you or ways that you've reacted. It's really difficult to do. And so my therapist was gentle and kind and caring and very strong and was with me every step of the way. And I think the thing that helped me the most was her encouragement and holding me accountable. So she would give me sort of homework assignments, and sometimes they were very difficult to do. Not difficult in that they were long-winded or but it was just hard because you had to dig inside of yourself so deeply and face your fears and your demons. And by doing that, I know that that really catapulted my recovery and my healing from being raped. You know, I didn't feel like I needed to come to therapy anymore. I felt like I had worked through everything and that I had become stronger and felt more powerful and happier and just had control of my life. I felt like I had good boundaries, healthy boundaries, and had the ability to say no and really mean it. So it was more I don't think you suddenly decide, oh, I'm done and this is it, because I actually said I was done and I ended up going back 2 or 3 more times. Not every week, but maybe every other week or once every 3 weeks as things came up. But I knew that I didn't need to come anymore. I just felt it. I knew that I had got what I needed out of it, and I was really grateful for that.
When this first came to light, there's a lot of anger, I think, that goes through, I think particularly for men. There's a sense of vengeance and a sense of justice that many people feel. And I don't think those are healthy thoughts. I don't think they're good thoughts. I don't think they build a relationship, they build a marriage, they build a partnership. I think that my feeling going into it was, having no experience with something like this, I felt really lost. I felt lost in how I could support my wife. I felt support on what was okay and what was not okay to talk about or not talk about. And so I've learned through the process at Sava that there is hope. And I've learned that you can actually become stronger. And I think that's what's been very important and has led us closer together since this occurred.
In addition to our therapy sessions, Sava has an extensive prevention education department that works in partnership with Poudre School District to provide students in high school and middle school with extensive education around sexual assault prevention, healthy relationships, boundaries.
Started out with the survivor readings, the same way that we do our presentations, and it's an actual story of someone who went through sexual abuse read to you by one of your peers. And that just hit me like a sack of bricks, because it immediately just let me know this is something that's real and affects people, and it's not just kids in the hallway screaming, "He raped me." It's something that is affecting people daily and messing up other people's lives.
It takes a society to change what is wrong now, and what our views about women, our views about sexual assault, and if I can do that one classroom at a time, that's really meaningful.
We also have the play that we offer, our activism theater, which is called Until Someone Wakes Up, that goes all across Colorado into Wyoming and other states to offer a play around sexual assault and the myths and stereotypes that often exist behind the issue of sexual assault.
If Sava wasn't around, a lot of people wouldn't have the support that they need to be able to overcome the crisis and the trauma that happens as a result of sexual assault. So what we know is that after a sexual assault, the likelihood of substance abuse, eating disorders, mental health concerns, thoughts of suicide, all of those factors increase dramatically after a sexual assault. And without any help, the likelihood that those are going to continue are significantly increased. So when we are able to come in and provide that early crisis intervention, we can mitigate those byproducts of sexual assault, which ultimately reduces the cost to the community altogether. So, for less than the cost of an ambulance ride after a suicide attempt, we can provide an entire year worth of service. And that would include crisis intervention, medical and legal advocacy, and a full year of therapy for less than just one ambulance ride. So we're able to use our funds effectively, efficiently. We're able to serve a large number of people for very little. In addition to that, we have prevention education programs that are also extremely affordable, especially when you consider the broad community impact that we have when we are preventing assaults in the first place. So we are fostering a generation that's less tolerant of sexual violence and that's more supportive of their peers and understand the dynamics of sexual assault, which will help in the future to reduce the impact altogether, which is saving the community the cost of law enforcement for responding to sexual violence crimes and all of the other services that are provided through the criminal justice and medical system alone that are a lot of costs that the community members absorb whenever we have a continuance of sexual violence in our community.
I think the most important thing is to break the silence. Don't feel know that there are resources available to you at some point it is important to talk about what you experienced. And the longer you bottle feelings up inside and you pretend like it didn't happen, the more damage and destruction you're going to do to yourself.
So I think I would like to say a thank you, not only to Sava for being here, but for the community that we live in that supports programs that Sava has, to the companies and the individuals who financially support it, and to the volunteers who give their time and energy into promoting awareness around sexual abuse and help to those people who have suffered from it. So thank you.